Today I got my hands on a Sony PlayStation 1 that was collecting dust in a closet, so I figured it was time to refurbish it and clean it. First things first, I checked out how good the controller and memory card ports looked, and they seemed to be okay. On the back side, the AV and power seemed okay as well, but the shell wasn't really in too good a condition. On the top of the console was a completely different story, a few big noticeable spots of dirt and scuffs that needed some attention. Under the hood of the PS1 was an even more different story, a lot was going to be needed there. Where the text had a lot of packed in dirt that was going to be needed to be picked out more than cleaned, and in the top left corner had the same deal. I checked the memory card doors and the player 1 side worked as it should, where the player 2 door had no spring to it and was hanging freely. I also checked the open button, which seemed to want to work okay most of the time, but not all the time like it should be, but I'll take care of that later on. So now it was cleaning time. I took out the wash rag and some Windex and sprayed the washcloth and gave it a good scrub on the top, the back, the front, the sides of the console, and most of it came off rather easy. It didn't really leave any stains from being there for however long, but luckily it just seemed to be surface dirt and not anything embedded like the dirt underneath the lid to the CD tray. Alrighty, now comes the fun part. I took some Windex on a washcloth and gave it a good hard scrub, and I don't really think it affected the embedded dirt that was on the text. There was a slight discoloration around the tray itself, but the Windex seemed to take care of that and put the color it was supposed to be originally without too much fight. But the engraved text on the bottom of the tray and the top left corner of the tray were going to be my hardest points to clean. I took a toothbrush to the engraved text and I couldn't see a noticeable difference, so I'll probably go over it with something with harder bristles later on. I then tried it on the corner of the tray and it seemed to do a pretty good job, but the job wasn't really complete, however. It was time to bust out the big guns, the isopropyl alcohol. I put some of the isopropyl alcohol on a cotton ball, not really to clean it, but to wet the surface of where the really embedded dirt was to try and get it up or at least loose. I then took my toothbrush and scrubbed again after the alcohol was applied, after letting it sit on there for a couple seconds, and it seemed to be working and looking a lot better. But after I focused my attention on the corner again and then wet it with the cotton ball, and I tried to get the dirt out of there with the toothbrush that was really deep in there, and it seemed to help out a bit more than just with the toothbrush itself. But then I went around the entire base of the tray picking up any existing dirt that I may have missed with the Windex, and as you can see it did a pretty good job because from the looks of it the cotton ball didn't have a lot of dirt on it afterwards. I also noticed the open button wasn't sticking hard anymore, but on the bottom corner there was still the same effect, but that's on the inside of the case itself that needed to be cleaned, not the tray, so that's all I really cared about, is that it shut. It is test time. I plugged in my LCD, my power adapter, I got my controller, so let's see if we get anything at all. I got power to the screen, so that's a good sign there. And we seem to be working fine as far as the AV and power goes. I decided to grab a jam pack and take a trip down memory lane because I love to receive these when I could and play the boss demos that were included on them. I popped in the disc and powered on, so let's see if the console can even read discs. Ah, that is a satisfying feeling right there. It's a huge sigh of relief. So let's test out the controller buttons once it loads, and one thing I did note is that it actually loaded rather quickly, which is great for a console that has been sitting for however long and not really being used, because I know after time the sensor can go down, at least in its performance. Alrighty, that's enough of that. PlayStation Underground, where the real gamers went to get the scoop. So I first tested the D-pad, then the L and R triggers, and then the X, square, triangle, and circle buttons, start and select, and then the analog, and everything worked great as it should. Unfortunately, my camera decided to die out on me as I was taking demo game footage for the ending, showing that everything was working and that all of the cleaning and testing was a success. So for this video, I have to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed the short little video that I did. It was a pretty fun one to make, and I hope to be making more of those. Be sure to check out my Instagram at therealkj3.exe, where I upload previews and other computer and gaming content on that. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do whatever your little heart desires on my YouTube. I will be uploading more frequently now that I have the time, but for now, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you